So we're not going to stop here for long. You can just see them there, and then off to the right hand side there are a whole lot more, and they tend to be fairly skittish of people in places where they haven't been fed. So in places like Cape Point, where they have been fed by human beings, they lose their fear and then they become quite dangerous. Right, so I think we're just going to see if we can't get a bit closer. There's 7 in that back group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About 9 in the front group. So 16-ish odd baboons. Approach them very fright. There's some on that termite mound there, and I don't know if you can get that shot. Can you see the backlit one just through the guarri bush there? That's quite a nice picture. There you can just see him. Beautifully framed there. She's just taking ticks off the baby's tail. Very carefully. She's got long nails. She just spotted us. Now she's heading off. We'll try and keep up with them. We're going down through there. Now they'll definitely be heading for some kind of roosting now, and they've got wind of us and are now moving at quite a speed. I really want to drive a bit quicker, but I think we'll frighten them, so we're just going to be patient as we can. A whole lot of them disappearing in terror. We'll get a little bit closer. They'll quite quickly, I hope, gain our trust. The other way around. Do you see others coming through here?
Yeah, there's still some behind us.
Okay. Sneak up here. They'll probably come down there. I think there are more than 16 here. It looks like quite a big troop. They're pretty nervous, these baboons. They've gone off to the right there, and I'll just try and see if we can't get a decent view. I was hoping for a much better view than this, I must say, but I don't think it's going to happen. Sorry about that. We will do a little bit of a turn off-road, but as soon as we make a noise they're going to disappear at high speed. Old baboons can be something of a menace. So perhaps they've been chased a bit and that's why they're running away. There they go, they're running through there. Seems to be an old road here. still a few coming through from behind us. They just are not letting us get anywhere near them. There's one there. You just see them knocking about in the bush there. I don't think we're going to get a better view than that. That's a pity. There, you could just see them moving. Hello. Oh, there we got one going up a tree. Irina in Crawford, Canada. No, sorry, in Crawford Plains in Alberta, Canada, grade 3. Thank you for your question and welcome to us. Welcome to the game drive. We're going to just sit here for a while and see if they don't expose themselves on that tree there. You want to know, can baboons swing from their tails a bit like some monkey species can? Irina, they can't. They don't have what we call prehensile tails. Prehensile basically means like a hand, and they don't have that sort of function that some of the monkeys do, you know, that where they can hold on with their tails. I think a spider monkey has that ability, but these monkeys and baboons don't. So our vervet monkeys also can't do that. I'm just going to sneak back a little bit, see if we can't get a little bit of a picture. Say when. Pamela, you want to know if a baboon would ever attack a person. The answer is not a simple one. In this environment, no, they wouldn't. I could, if I got out of the car and walked anywhere close to that troop, they would run away to a man. They would disappear at great speed, shouting great objections as they went. If, however, they are fed, and it still astonishes me that people are stupid enough to feed baboons in areas where, South Africa, where it says do not feed the baboons, then they lose their natural fear of human beings and they can become quite dangerous. So I mean, unfortunately, there are lots of baboons around Cape Town that have had to be shot because people feed them, and I mean, they feed them with the greatest of best will in the world, but they are basically signing the death warrant for those animals. And same in the Kruger Park. People will come in and they've had their lunches, and then they've thrown the odd bit towards baboons, and baboons then lose their natural fear of us, and that can be very dangerous. Okay, I'm afraid I think that's all we're going to get of them, which is a bit sad. So we'll carry on through Arathuza and see if we can't find something else. I must just tell you that tire still smells absolutely horrendous. Beautiful night or evening starting to develop. Right, I am struggling with my radio a bit, so if I'm not answering your questions, it's no one's fault other than the technical glitches that inevitably occur during the course of sending high definition signals all across the world. Did have a question from Crawford Plains. I'm afraid I didn't get the name of the budding young naturalist who asked it. I think it's Miss Tim, and you want to know what baboons eat. Baboons eat everything. They are what we call omnivores. So they'll eat meat if they can get it. They eat a lot of fruit, a lot of leaves, a lot of insects and spiders. They'll bite scorpions in half and eat them. And in terms of meat, they'll actually sometimes hunt on their own. They'll kill baby impalas sometimes if they're just born, and then they'll eat those. So they're very omnivorous. They've got those huge big canines in their mouths, which allow them to, I mean, they're bigger than a leopard's canines. And a canine, if you didn't know it, is this tooth here, like your vampire tooth. And the canines on a baboon are enormous, so they are well equipped to kill if they have to. So we're going to go across to Brent. We're disappearing into a sort of signal vacuum, and we'll see what he's got to show you, and we'll see you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, no luck with the Q, the male, quarantine male leopard. He has foxed me. So we decided to come have an afternoon sundowner session with Bob, the bachelor hippo, and he's been keeping us entertained, probably pondering the loss of his mate. What did I do wrong? Bob, I don't think it's you, I think it's your water hole. It's just not quite as alluring as some of the others in the reserve. What do they say? It's all about location, location, location. So, I'm taking this chance while we've been sitting with Bob. We've also been listening for any possible alarm calls if that male leopard started moving. But I've taken this chance. I know there's been quite a lot of chat about the claws in a cheetah. And we can have a look at it here. So this is a cheetah's pad and or an inside. And you can see they aren't able to fully retract. So it doesn't go in completely. The ligaments there are quite short. So they don't extend. And when they push them out, obviously they do extend, but they're never able, like a lion or leopard, to draw that almost completely in. And that's why we see the claw marks on a cheetah track, because we don't on the others. But some quite interesting information, since that sighting was so busy this morning, we didn't have a chance to chat a little bit more in detail about cheetah, and I know a lot of you guys are dying to know more because it isn't something we see every day. So I just did a little bit of reading, and I know I'm going to preempt you guys before. I'm sure we're going to get a few questions about king cheetah and color aberrations. So I'm just going to show you what a king cheetah skin looks like very quickly. So instead of the spots the spots have almost fused, and it is a recessive gene. And there's a picture of a little 10-month-old cub. Now, that is at a breeding place that does endangered species breeding called De Wild. And they've got wild dog and cheetah, the two main things. So this cheetah was born there, obviously quite a long time ago because this book's quite old. But the male was from Zimbabwe. Oh no, sorry, from Messina, so near the Zimbabwean border. And the female was from Ecuador, which is this area. So probably from the Sabi Sands. And they were both normal cheetahs. So it's a recessive gene that is carried. And that is what they look like. And this is the area in cheetah distribution that seems to hold this recessive gene for king cheetah. So we're on this little spit down here. So to the Kruger National Park, and then follows the Limpopo River into southeastern Botswana, and then into Zimbabwe. So quite interesting. And there we've got a nice visual of the track. Obviously it never quite looks as nice as a picture in the sand, but you can see how the claws, so you don't get full claws unless they're extended and running. So there we go, nice little bit there. So the name cheetah, the common name cheetah, comes from a language you probably wouldn't expect, and it comes from Hindu. So cheetahs were actually, oh, Bob is giving us a bit of a show. Yes, Bob. What that was actually a little threat display. We are quite close to the water's edge, and what he's doing there is just reminding us that he's big and he's strong, and also he's going to start getting a little bit more mobile as it gets cooler, and he's going to want to head off to go try find some grazing and maybe some girlfriends. And just above Bob, while we're there, is a white-breasted cormorant who's just finished fishing. And he's drying his wings, so before he flies off to wherever it roosts. A white-breasted cormorant. I got a question from Kendall in Canada. Kendall would like to know, how wide is a hippo's gape? So how wide is a hippo's jaws? Can I probably say it extends, not quite me, but probably not too far off, probably 1.6 meters, 1.7 meters. So the size of a small human. The cormorant has decided to leave and going to head off to wherever home is for the evening. Hi, Oki from Oklahoma. Oki would like to know, do cheetahs check their kills up trees like leopards? And do they climb trees? Well, Oki, they don't. They're not strong enough, and they're not the best climbers. They will use sort of fallen down logs and easily climbable trees, but not natural climbers. So they don't. Quite honestly, the way cheetahs feed is quite different from the other predators. They will, as soon as they've sort of recovered from that massive energy expense of chasing something down, they'll start feeding generally from the rump first, which is the softest meat, and they try gulp as much down because they do lose a lot of their kills to other predators, to hyenas, to leopards, to wild dogs, to lions. And that is actually when they're at the biggest threat. So the sun is just dipping, below the horizon. So we had quite a lot of different countries in that sort of meta population question, and there was Botswana, Egypt, or Kenya, or the Masai Mara in particular. But unfortunately, all those are wrong. I only found this information out very recently. My dad went to a conference. It was held by an endangered wildlife trust, especially on cheetahs, because the reserve where he lives has quite a healthy cheetah population. And what's Bob up to? No, Bob's behaving. And so there was he sent me the article that was about the meta populations, and it's the Greater Kruger National Park, actually, believe it or not, which we were all very shocked. I was convinced it was probably the Mara and Serengeti systems, or Namibia would have been my guesses for the largest meta population, but it was actually this very area we're in now. And we must remember, it is so huge. I mean, 3.5 million hectares with the Zimbabwean and Mozambican parks that are unfenced between the Kruger, plus all the private reserves on the edge. So an incredibly massive area. So it does sort of make sense that they are there. And also the area, a lot of the surrounding areas, are these private nature reserves that are open to the Kruger, so there's no fences. So it is a massive area for these animals to wander in. Really hoping we'd hear some alarm calls and we'd find out where Q is hiding. Hi, Dave. Welcome on the Sunset Safari. Dave would like to know, would a large crocodile that is found in the waterholes and rivers in Africa be a threat to hippopotamuses? Not generally, unless the animal, the hippo, was in very bad shape, injured, possibly from fighting with another hippo, or if it was a very young one that happened to meander too far from mommy. So normally, not at all. Hippos are much bigger and stronger than crocs, and have been known to kill crocodiles if they get too close to their babies. So some of you guys said Egypt as one of the places where cheetah could have a large population. Actually, Egypt is probably one of the sadder cheetah stories. They are extinct pretty much in Egypt. There is a small possibility that there might be some on the Libyan Egyptian border, because there are a few still in Libya, but very, very interesting. Also, a little bit of fun facts about cheetahs. There was actually a giant cheetah that they have from fossil records, and its name was Aesonix pardonensis, and it lived in Europe during the Pleistocene epoch. During the Villafranchian epoch. So from about 3.8 to 1.9 million years ago, there was a giant cheetah roaming Europe. And then there was a smaller one called Aesonix intermedius that had a distributional range towards China. So cheetah used to occur in China during that same period. But from skeletons and whatnot found, I'm just trying to remember here where it was, in China and India and Iran, from about 700,000 years ago, the cheetah was as the cheetah are today. So they've been in their current form longer than we have, which is quite interesting. Well, I think it is. But now if we go to the Latin name of cheetah, which is Asionix jubatus. So Asionix is thought to have come from the Greek word meaning which is akaina, which is a thorn, and onyx, which is a claw. And this is probably because of those non-retractable claws. So the Greek word, just check that one again, akaina, and onyx, which is claw in Greek. So, but while we're sitting here, we're going to move along, leave Bob to peace and see if he can go find a girlfriend. And we're going to go do one last check through this block that I think the quarantine male leopard is hiding in. Other than that, then I think we might have to make another plan and go find something else. But we're going to cross across to James, who's got something slightly larger.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Wendy. A small surprise for you. There is an elephant, and this is an elephant we've seen before. It's that little calf that's got sort of strangely checkered skin, not just the normal wrinkles but almost sort of square ones, and so he's quite interesting. And his mum's just off to his right, and so for those of you who haven't seen him before, this is your introduction. You can see we can't move the car right now because our signal is particularly bad. So we're just going to sit exactly here. The rest of the herd I can hear behind us. And this little fellow is very sweet, just learning how to use his trunk. You can see he's just managing to put stuff in his mouth. It takes him about 2 years to learn to use that trunk. How's it? Good. We can't move from here, we lose our signal. So I'm stuck here.
There's more just on that other road there.
Okay, cool.
It's like a two-track that goes up to Brown.
Okay. Are we allowed up there?
Yeah, it's a two-track here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this two, right here from as you go up into Road 7.
Perfect. Okay, super. Okay.
And there's also fresh male leopard tracks there.
All right.
During this area we can't find it.
Okay.
Maybe he pops up for you.
Super. Thanks, eh?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Enjoy your drive. Now you can see he's not nearly as competent. Excuse me there for having to leave you briefly. Just learning to use that trunk. This animal's probably about almost 2 years old, but doesn't seem to have had any tusk eruption yet, which is quite unusual. It may be a young bull, but I get the impression that that's a young cow. Isn't that sweet? I'm walking away there. All right, what we are going to try and do in a few minutes, as soon as they're not quite as obvious as they might be now, we'll try and move, and if you do lose us, we'll reposition, and you'll go back to Brent briefly, and then we'll see if we can't get back to you. Those birds in the background there are the fork-tailed drongos, and I saw 2 square-tailed drongos in the last few days, which is quite unusual, but not following the elephants. Okay, we're going to try and move here. I think you are going to lose us, so if you do, I'm very sorry about that. We'll be on to Eugene about it, and maybe we'll send him up to space to sort out our satellites. So far, so good. hope you're still with us. I hope you're still with us. You're still with us. Goodie. We're going to higher ground now, so that should be good for this. And as I've said to you before, the first thing you do when you see an elephant on the right is look left. Okay. So they should be off here on the right hand side. You might get quite a nice view here. That ranger told me we are allowed onto this road, so this is quite convenient. With our Western property laws, people get very sticky about where you can and can't go. I suppose it would be a bit of a free-for-all otherwise. Right, we're going to go off-road here a bit. Just see, I can still only see these two. But I think if we go, we'll wait here for her. If you look at her, her temporal glands, which is there's a sort of streaming of liquid behind her eye. It looks almost like she's crying. That is an indicator of some kind of stress. And you saw the way that when we first got to her, she turned. In fact, no, sorry, you weren't with us at that stage. She turned and she did kind of give us a bit of a warning. So I'm going to let her approach us rather than the other way around. It's just always the best way to go with elephants. I find the more patient you are with them, the more rewarding the sighting tends to be. She's got classic female elephant tusks, straight, elegantly thin, and they point quite close to the ground. I'm just going to be quiet for a second, and I want you to try and see if you can hear, obviously, her feeding, and just see if you can hear the drongos calling, squeaking next to her. Such a lovely sound, that flapping of the ears. Hello, Isabel in Crawford Plains, Alberta, Canada. This is the grade 3 class, I think. Isabel, what a very, very clever question you ask. You are clearly something of a Canadian prodigy. You say, what do elephants eat, given that we were watching that youngster and he's particularly poor at using his trunk? Isabel, the answer is that they drink milk, much like we do, until they're about 2 years old, and by the time they stop drinking milk, their trunks are sufficiently useful enough for them to be able to use them to eat. So that's what they eat. What a very clever question. Thank you. I did hear another one earlier, but I can't hear them now. So I know we can't see her very well, but she was a little bit stressed, and I think if we're patient, she'll probably come out into the open in front of us fairly soon. And like I say, it's always best to try and get just establish a rapport, establish some kind of trust with them. Every time you see them, never take anything for granted with elephants. She's listening very carefully to my voice. Every time I speak, she stops moving and listens and then carries on. You can see what a very clever color grey is to be. Suzanne in the Netherlands, what a fascinating point you make, or comment you make, and question. Have I ever tried to sing to elephants, you ask, because you've heard or seen pictures or documentaries of elephants in captivity being sung to, and you've seen them swaying in time to the music. I'd love to know what kind of music it was. Sorry, I just thought I heard something behind us. There's nothing there. And so perhaps we should try it one day. I'm not going to try it right now. She's a little bit stressed for me to try that, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to be singing to an elephant on camera immediately. But definitely when we've got a herd in the open, it might be something we try. Thanks, Suzanne. Here she comes. There we go. And she's listening very carefully to me all the time. See the little baby suckling. Isn't that very sweet? Did you see that little one suckling there? And sometimes they will suckle purely for sort of comfort, and sometimes to eat. And this one will be starting to wean now. Well, Mum eats. So just a question there, did we get, is this the wrinkly skinned calf who sometimes turns and charges the vehicles and sticks his ears up? Viewers who have seen him before, I think that is him, yes. He's also streaming a bit from his temporal gland, so they're obviously a little bit stressed about something, and that's why he's probably staying with his mum, staying close to her, and not sort of trying his normal antics, which are normally very, very funny indeed. So that I'm pretty sure that that's exactly who this young elephant is. You can see how beautifully hidden he is there. Then we had a lovely question from Haley in Miss Jacobs' class. I think they're in Illinois. Haley in Miss Jacobs' class, I'm glad you are not head deep in some sort of boring book, but rather watching us. Haley, you want to know what the strangest thing I've ever seen in the bushes, and I'm struggling to think of it. I've seen so many strange things, but I think one of the strangest things I've seen with elephants have been when a young bull came across a rhino cow and her calf, and he was a big bull, I mean about the same size as that cow that we're looking at now. And he thought he'd try his luck. He thought he'd give her a bit of a fright, or chase her for fun, and that normally rhino are pretty silent. They make snorting noises, and when they're babies they make squealing noises, like sort of mice, almost like loud mice. But this rhino, when she took one look at that elephant bull, she made a loud, growling, groaning wail, and she chased that elephant, and he did not look back. He turned round, stuck his tail in the air, his ears out, and he disappeared. So that was the funniest thing I've ever seen with elephants. Can hear some others feeding there, I think, to the left. Quite a long way to the left. So what I'll do is I'll just move a little bit forward. I'm not going to blast in there after them. It is getting a little dark, and I'm not going to put light on the elephants. Again, look at the beautiful color that gray is compared with the gold of the leaves. These vehicles do make a rather loud racket as they go through the bush. We'll just get a quick view of the youngster. There we go. Is that alright? I'm not going to push this too much. Joanne, Arizona, I'm going to answer your question now. I'm just in a little bit of a sensitive situation here, and I don't want to stress this cow out. I'm going to push this little thing down so that you can get a view of the cow, of the calf. There we go. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? What on earth was that? So, Joanne, you thought that you heard a drongo calling in the same manner as a white-fronted bee-eater. You have either got super hearing. Oh, look at that. Isn't that wonderful? He's trying to push the tree over for us. Joanne, it's possible, but there are quite a few birds that sound like white-fronted bee-eaters that kind of wah, 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 call. And the drongos, I don't think are doing that now. That's a drongo you can hear. Yeah, this is definitely that wrinkly-skinned little calf. And that behavior is him chasing the drongo. There's a drongo that landed just next to him, and he took exception to it. He's very sweet. He's not far from us at all. I mean, that's probably 15 feet. In fact, he keeps chasing the drongo. You just see the drongo sort of right of center, just above him. Up and to the right of him, that black spot is the drongo. And there's the cow walking past the front of us now. She seems to have relaxed a bit with us. But you never take a chance with elephants. She's still very aware of us, listening carefully to my voice. And so far I haven't offended her with anything I've said, which is good news. So a quick shout out to the Crawford Plains grade 3 class in Alberta, going off to your music lesson. Good stuff. I used to teach the guitar, so make sure you practice your music, please. Don't frustrate your teachers like my pupils used to frustrate mine. Enjoy your music, sing loudly and boisterously. And then a nice question from Sandy in Kansas. Sandy, you say if an elephant is orphaned, will the herd adopt it? This is one of the few species that we get out here where a baby that is orphaned has a very good chance of survival. The herd will adopt, and if there's a female who's lactating, she will suckle him or her, and it's a really fascinating thing that happens. So absolutely, an orphaned elephant has a very good chance. An orphaned impala, no chance. Orphaned lion, almost no chance. The little one is in a very thick piece of bush, but only about 15 feet from us. There's not a great picture of him, but we'll give you a quick indicator. Look at that. It's only 15 feet away. He's totally comfortable with us, it's just fantastic. We hope that lasts, of course, into adulthood, but he will remain this comfortable around people and cars. There you can see his little eye poking up. I must just tell you that in the light conditions that this presents, that shot is very difficult for a cameraman. Focus becomes beautiful, peaceful scene here with the drongos calling, and the sound of them feeding and just not reacting to us at all. It's so nice. Hello Gilna in the Netherlands. I hope you're having an enjoyable evening, 1 hour earlier than where we are, so you probably just got home from work. The answer is I've definitely seen them do it with their trunks. Whether that's for comfort or not, I'm not sure, but what they do is go and they pretend to suckle sort of after they've weaned, after the age of weaning, and that tends to give them some sort of comfort. And then Jen, you want to know where is the rest of the herd. Jen, I'm not sure where the rest of the herd is. I've definitely heard 1 or 2 other elephants feeding around here. I'm not sure exactly where they are though. They're in and around the place. And the herd will not always be completely together unless they're moving towards water perhaps, or towards another feeding site. And these two are just quite comfortable on the outskirts, better than the mongoose poo we found this morning. Next challenge, of course, to reverse out of here without decapitating Jean-Ray. Hello, Angela in Boston, Massachusetts. You want to know the reason is that a cow is just a term that we use often for a lot of mammals. In fact, I think a whale, female whale, is called a cow. and a female and a male whale is called a bull. There is definitely something else around here. Maybe another elephant, unless I'm hearing things, which I might be. So basically, Angela, that's what happens. The same as with an American bison. I'm assuming it would be a bison bull and a bison calf. Lynn, I've just got to avoid a piece of something in the road here. Those dogs that have too much skin. It's the same with elephants. So I suspect his skin will always be that kind of a strange agglomeration of wrinkles. I don't think it'll change much. There are no more elephants around that I can see, so we're going to head over to Brent, who apparently has found you a magnificent sunset. I have yet to see a poor sunset in this area, so we'll go across to him and I'll see you a little bit later.
So welcome back, everyone. Brian and I are sitting and admiring this magnificent sunset. It's almost like the bush is on fire around us with these amazing colors. So we're going to just wheel down the road a little bit. We're just above Sydney's Dam, and what I'm hoping is it might be a little bit dark, but we may some of Bob's friends as they try. So we're nearly there. Sounds like I've picked up a stick as well. So we are gonna just stand by here. It looks like all the hippos are still there. We're gonna cross across to James, who's got a really nice sunset surprise for you. Quite a long one, and we'll be back hopefully with some hippos leaving the water.
Hello everybody, sorry to pull you away from Brent again. I'm sure he's going to be very upset with me, but you know, we hardly saw you this morning with our Mongoose Poo Drive. Just a lovely silhouette of that giraffe cow walking into the sunset. Beautiful. I'm not going to shine a light on her. She's a diurnal animal and we don't like to shine lights on them. Tends to sense of the last embers of the day as it disappears. There we go. There's another beautiful silhouette. See her chewing there. Here, another one coming into frame. She's actually coming to look at us. Giraffes can be very inquisitive. I'm not going to start the car. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, look at that. Perfect way to end the day. White-browed scrub robin calling in the background. That is just stunning. Of course, poor Gendre is now bent into it. The odour coming off this tyre is something to behold. I may have to burn the tyre tonight. I'm not sure we will ever get the smell out. Gendre, say when. Forward. Oh, we've got this one here. Hi, Paddy in Michigan. You want to know how on earth we got so close to the buffalo with the car smelling like the back end of a lion? The answer is, I suppose, and actually Gendre and I were discussing this earlier, I suppose simply because we didn't look like a lion. In the darkness, if they smelled that and not the rest of the car, I'm pretty sure they would react. It's a very nice question. Just wiping her nose with her tongue. That is beautiful. She's totally fascinated by us as much as we are by her. Andre, you may take over the artistic direction again. And she's chewing her cud. You'd actually normally be able to see the bolus coming up. There it goes. I hope you all saw that. That was her lunch, at least her dinner, returning to her mouth for a second go at mastication, or heavy chewing. And you'll just see the ends, you can just see the rest of them walking off there in the background. Beautiful silhouettes. Still watching us. Well, that's it. They've decided we are not as interesting as we think we are, and they're going to press on into the dimming sky. Wow, that was an exceptional experience. Thank you, Gendre, and well spotted. So while we turn around here and decide to make our way home, we're going to go back to poor old Brent, who hogged the limelight slightly this morning, and I'm glad we've hogged it from him this afternoon. We'll see you just now.
That's bad. Welcome back, everyone. You can hear the hippos getting ready to head out into the bush to start feeding. I'm just going to have a quick look with the spotlight. Can't see any out of the water yet, but we've been waiting patiently and they've been serenading us wonderfully. So hopefully one of them will decide to be a little bit more accommodating. So you can see them there in the water. Lazy hippos, it's dark, you're supposed to be out on the search for things. Have a quick another look what's around us, make sure nothing has snuck up on us. But while I've been wandering around in the bush today, trying to find Mr. Q, I picked up. Here I am. Where do you want it there, Brian?
Okay, hold on 1 sec. Just get that in shot. Okay.
Okay. Now let's see if this works. Are you getting it on camera, guys? So if you have a look, if I hit it hard enough, I'm getting sparks. And when I smell it, you can actually have a look where I've hit it, but when I smell it, it smells very similar to gunpowder. And I actually quite like that smell, so does Brian. We'll do it one more time with the lights off. Let's just wait for Brian to get in ready.
There it goes.
Oh, there we go. So caught, believe it or not, as a youngster, I spent hours upon hours trying to start a fire with 2 rocks. I can tell you for a fact it is impossible. Well, in my rock beating experience, it was near impossible. I also got into a lot of trouble because I decided, well, I need petrol. So I managed to sneak a little bit of petrol when I was about, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. And I sat there with 2 quartz stones trying to light the petrol. And I say my mother was less than impressed would be the understatement of the year. Literally, she had to hide any form of fire-making device from myself and my little brother. So, no, hippos, doesn't look like they're gonna. Maybe if we pretend we're leaving and then just sneak back in again. But it looks like they're all still quite set and not going to be coming out just yet. But yeah, any form of thing that made fire was hidden completely from us. Matches, lighters, because if given any opportunity, I think we would have burnt down the whole farm every day. So we're going to see now, hopefully, as it gets dark like this now and in these colder months, I'm really hoping we start seeing a few more of the stranger, smaller animals that occur here. Hi Sarah, who's 17 years old, from the Dayton Children's Hospital in Ohio. Welcome on the safari, Sarah. Sarah would like to know if we get any albino leopard or cheetah in this area, and if so, have I ever seen one? Well, Sarah, I've never seen an albino leopard or cheetah, and it's always possible to get them anywhere, as it is a recessive gene. But unfortunately, if you are born as an albino animal in the wild, you generally don't last very long because the lack of pigment they have, and the skin is pink and it burns very easily, and they're also being white, are very easy to see. You might be referring to things like white lions, and there's such a thing called a strawberry leopard, believe it or not, and that is leucism, which is a different thing, and that is a lack of pigment in the hair, not in the skin as well. And they are leopards that in not too far from here, probably about 100 kilometers, there's a record of a strawberry leopard there who does quite well. And I'm just going to stop here for a second and listen. And then with cheetah, I've never heard of any albino cheetah being seen in this area, and I've never personally seen an albino leopard or cheetah. Thanks very much for that, Sarah. I hope you're having a fantastic day. So it's quite a nice view here of this dead leadwood. It just looks very, very pretty. With the stars starting to come up behind it. So just with the side light, it just looked very, very pretty. And so we've had such an amazing day here at Wild Earth and at Djuma Private Game Reserve. It's been absolutely fantastic. Even though this afternoon sunset safari was a little bit quiet, we still had a great time, and it was wonderful having all of you guys on the vehicle with us, and we really appreciate all your questions, and it's an absolute privilege and a pleasure for us to be able to share our knowledge and our passion for the African wildlife. But obviously the reason I'm smiling still is that amazing sighting we saw this morning. We were lucky enough to get a tip off about cheetah tracks, found the track, and literally as I looked from the track, there were the cheetah. And they were growling in that very strange cheetah growl, that and at this little round leaf teak thicket, and out of it burst quarantine male leopard who we haven't seen in an age, and then he chased the cheetahs, and we managed to stay with them until they crossed our eastern boundary, and then we went back and we followed the squirrels alarm calling, and we were lucky enough to find quarantine at Buffalo's Hook Dam, where he was annoying Bob a bit, but it's been so fantastic having you with us, and I'm still on an absolute high because of those cheetah and the leopard this morning. And I know you've had a fantastic evening with James. I'm sure he's been keeping you highly entertained. So we're going to say goodnight now and leave you with Commander Bond for the last little bit. And we'll catch you all in the morning for the sunrise safari. Have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are in the world.
You're going to be a giraffe in, but do try walk around the front of the car.
Okay, you're going to have to count me in, eh?
I will do.
As opposed to just showing me with your hand.
We are live.
Good evening, everybody. I am doing my giraffe silhouette impression from the top of a termite mound that also doubles as some form of a dam wall. I hope you enjoyed my giraffe impression. This is the result of an artistic whim on the part of Jean Drey. We have had a magnificent afternoon. We both feel very light and airy at the response of the wilderness to us and our meditations this morning and this afternoon. A quick comment on albinism. I believe there were some questions about albino baboons, and there were some questions on albino, falling over here, some questions on albino cheetahs that Brent has answered. In terms of albino baboons, they do occur in the area. It's not impossible to have them, but it's really not common. And what tends to happen is that any sort of miscolored baboon gets drives as we do give information, and that's really much appreciated from you. If you are a new viewer, I'm not sure you can be a visitor on the internet, then you are even more welcome, and please remember that we love to hear from you. Feel free to send us any comments and questions that you have, and please watch us again tomorrow morning. Small question. So George from Pittsburgh, a lovely question about albino baboons. Good heavens, look at that wonderful shot. George, you said you saw a baboon, an albino baboon in a troop, a little one, at somewhere called Pete's Pond, if I'm not mistaken, and you said that that little baboon was sitting away from the others and seemed to have been ostracized. I think that's probably precisely what's happened. They will be much easier for predators to catch because they're obviously much easier to see, and if they don't have the protection of the troop, I doubt, I don't think I've ever seen an adult albino baboon. So not really nice to be born as an albino baboon. It's interesting how many people are so fascinated by the different colors and color variations. Every time we see a leopard, we get questions about black leopards or strawberry leopards, which is a sort of a rufous form. Same with lions. Have we ever seen black lions or white lions, which are not albinos? They're leucistic, which is a sort of form of albinism, but a much less severe one. And we do seem to be amazed by it, and especially in our own species, we're still constantly amazed by the different variations. And if you think of the amount of a prejudice that has been caused by our own color variations, and we're supposed to be thinking animals, I'm sure that in the animal kingdom, especially for example like a baboon troop, it's probably much, much worse. So thank you for being with us. We're going to sign off now. A great shout out to Tara, who's done another exceptional job in the final control. Eugene, who knocks about all day long tinkering and fixing, and without him none of this would happen. And to Brent and Brian, who were most encouraging when they got back after they'd gloated for a little while. And also to Jean-Dre on his third drive. I think he's pretty good indeed. So with that, we thank you for your contributions. We will see you in the morning, bright and early. It probably won't be that bright, but it certainly will be very early. And I look forward to further interactions with all of you in the Twitter sphere and on email and in any other way you like to talk to us. So thanks very much again, and we will see you in the morning. African dawn.